Hi guys, how we doing? So I have been watching quite a few of the canning videos that are going up recently, and there's a buzzword going around, and it's botulism. Okay, very serious if you get it, but it's incredibly rare as well. Now, so I did a bit of research this morning. When I say this morning, it's only 5 to 5 in the morning right now, and I've been up since 1:30, and I have been going through all the journals of public health and the NHS website and all of that kind of stuff to do with botulism here in the UK, because I think people are starting to get a bit scared of preparing their own food, preserving their own food, etc. Because if you don't have a pressure canner, you're going to get botulism, is basically the message that's going out at the moment. Not only is that message dangerous, but it's also very wrong. And here in the UK, there have only been 62 cases actually recognised between 1922 and 2005, and only 2 between the years 2012 and 2013. There weren't any on the other years. That's why they're not there. There weren't any. Okay, so over here in the UK, pressure canning is not something that happens unless you can afford to purchase a pressure canner from the US and have it sent over. Now, that's not something that the average person tends to do, and they've been water bathing for decades without any issue whatsoever. So I wanted to, and that includes meat and fish and all of those things. So I just wanted to talk to you guys, because as someone who has been water bathing for 30 years, and possibly a few others, it's something that I feel we're being attacked for. And frankly, pressure canning is not something that is seen very readily outside of the US and possibly Canada, because they're next to the US, right? Okay, so unless you can actually afford to purchase and have shipped a pressure canner, we water bath, and we've been doing it ever since the process started. Now, when you look at the actual who got botulism and where, and you take into account the years and what was made and how it was done, there's a pattern. Okay, so between the years 1922 and 1955, when fridges were not a thing. Fridges weren't a thing. If you were lucky, you had an ice box, which meant that you lived near the big house or in a big house, like manor, castle, that kind of thing. You didn't have access to ice. You didn't. They were the ones who were able to get ice all year round. So if you didn't have a cool place to keep meat products, you're going to end up with issues if you eat them and when you shouldn't, or if they've been sitting out in the sun for a bit. Okay, so back in 1922, there was a commercially made duck pate that affected 8 people. Okay, all 8 people died, because back then, 1922, you're gonna die. Simple. There was no fixing it. Okay, and then you get the odd 1 or 2. The next 2, 4, 5 cases were all homemade things like pigeon and rabbit broth, jugged hare, vegetarian nut brawn, mincemeat pie, and macaroni cheese. All things that we know today need to be in the fridge. They need to be in the fridge, people, okay? And not eaten past 3 days. Jugged hare, you want to eat within 48 hours. Simple, period. Anything like vegetarian nuts and stuff that have been cooked and processed and stuff like that has to be eaten within a couple of days, because otherwise the nuts go rancid, just like meat. Okay, so the worst case was in 1989, and that affected 27 people, and then that came from a commercially made hazelnut yogurt. 27 people were affected and 1 person died. So, you know, this is, you know, or some of the others, and I will put the link to the academic Journal of Public Health down below, this actual article, so if you want to read it yourself, you can. I just think that there is a lot of scaring going on about botulism. Yeah, it is nasty if you get it. It is. But if you water bath and you've been doing it for years and you've had no issues, what's the problem? I don't get it. One of the things about water bathing is that we don't do things that are high acid. That's the same with canning. You're not supposed to can things that are high acid. So pickles, relishes, chutneys, why are you canning them? They don't need to be canned. They can self-vacuum, and that's a safe way of doing it. And things that are kept in vinegar anyway don't need canning, because vinegar is the preservative and kills off 99.999% of all bacterias. Come on. Okay, now I get that some people are very high on the whole hygiene thing. You should be high on the hygiene thing if you're doing any kind of food preservation. Food hygiene is so important. Even if you're making your own meals at home, which you should be. And why aren't you? Why? Okay, you really, really, really need to be very on it with your food hygiene. And for the last few weeks, I haven't been cooking, but then I haven't been cooking because I've been eating out of the stuff in the freezer that I made when I was on top of it. And in the next few days, it'll all be fixed up anyway. So I'm not that concerned. As you guys know, I was a chef for 26 years before I had to retire due to health. Nothing to do with botulism. Everything to do with the fact that the human body doesn't like falling down 3 flights of stairs. But, you know, we don't need to go into that here. What we do need to go into is the fact that botulism is incredibly rare in this country. Okay, and the worst cases have actually been caused by factory made foods or commercially made foods, not by homemade foods. Yeah, so, or imported things that grandma sent from the old country. Okay, so there's 4 other cases that 4, 5, 6 other cases that are of note. 1955, some pickled fish was sent from Mauritius, which they're not quite sure whether it was homemade or not, but it was probably homemade. Bottled mushrooms from Italy in 1998. 2003 was some sausage from Poland, and 2005 was some home preserved pork from Poland. So again, stuff from the home country that Nana made you, or Mum made you, or Auntie whoever made you. You know, personally, I really wouldn't have touched it either. I wouldn't have. Not if it's just been sent in the mail, or, you know, you've had to carry it from A to B and probably C to D and maybe D to E, depending on your flights and trains and planes and automobiles and all of this kind of thing, because you can't be guaranteed a proper temperature to actually transport it. So, you know, don't be scared by the word botulism, okay? Please don't, because there really isn't a reason to be scared of botulism. Be aware. Awareness, I think, is the most important thing. Knowing how to keep your kitchen as clean as possible. Making sure that everything you use while you're preserving food or preparing food is absolutely 150% spotless. Making sure that, you know, you're on top of things. And if you do no other cleaning in your life, only do the kitchen. Make sure that the kitchen is absolutely 150% spotless. That you use what you need to use to keep it clean and what have you. And if you're against using commercial cleaning products, I get it. I make a lot of mine myself. But when I am preserving, what I do is I do use commercially graded cleaning products for that purpose, because otherwise I'm the one who's the idiot. Okay, I want to make 100% sure. And if you want to make, if you know, I mean, yeah. The other thing about botulism is that is an unknown, pretty much an unknown thing. Botulism is actually Botox, which is why it causes the paralysis, which is why people use it in their face. I still don't understand why you'd use it in your face. And is used for kids and people who have not great mobility along with their steroids. So it stops them from, you know, it makes it easier for them to move about and do what they need to do. So it works differently for them because it's used in a different way. So I just wanted to say, don't get caught up in the fear mongering that is about to do with botulism, okay? It's not necessary. As long as you keep everything clean, as long as you're organized, as long as you sterilize your bottles and your lids and all of that kind of stuff, and as long as you know, just be sensible, okay? Be sensible. I'll do a video shortly on kitchen safety and kitchen hygiene, and yeah. So then you'll have no excuses, okay? I will see you later, guys. Have a really, really awesome rest of your day. Love you guys heaps. Bye-bye.